Mm.
ಹಲೋ ಬ್ರೋ, ಪನ ಇತ್ಯಾ SI ರಡ್ಡು ಗಂಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಫೈನ್ ದಾಲ ಪಂತಿಜೇರು.
Yes. So for A section, what was the last I've completed? We were discussing project cost, but under project cost, what we were discussing
So last we discussed about optimum project duration, sir.
Optimum project completion duration. And how much was it?
19 days.
Optimum.
So actually the problem was solved. This was the last definition what you gave.
Okay. So optimum project completion duration. Okay, we have completed the problem. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
That means previous cycle it was 16 days. That means correct.
Yes, sir.
Correct. And from there we concluded that project completion duration should be 19 days. And what was the project cost? Optimum project cost?
14,150.
Okay, 14,000.
150.
150 rupees. And okay, yes, fine. About B section, where did we stop? B section.
Sir, this question is completed and the next question you have given, sir. Just the question.
Okay, only the question was. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So B section students, just wait. Okay, and I will dictate the question statement for A section. It may take for 5 or 10 minutes time. Okay. Once that is done, once they have taken it down, then we'll start with this. Meanwhile, B section students can start solving the problem. For example, question statement is given, right? So with the question statement, determine the different possible paths. Okay. I think before that, you can start drawing the network diagram and determine the possible paths and their duration. Okay. So the question statement is given for B section. First, draw the network diagram. Okay. First, draw the network diagram, and afterwards, determine different possible paths. Okay, and determine the possible duration. Their durations. Okay, this much you are supposed to do. Okay. Meanwhile, I will just complete writing the question statement for A section. Okay. A section students. A section students. Just make note of this question statement. Activity.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So activity. Possibly I will write above. First one is dash 2 dash 4, 2 dash 5, 3 dash 6, 4 dash 6, and 5 dash. This is a similar problem like what we had solved in our earlier class. Similar problem. Dash duration is and for okay, columns are given. Duration. All the two columns, that is second and the third column, are in days. 6, 8, 5, 3, 5. Returns. Next double 8, 5, 6. 80, 90, 30, dash 40, Just take note of this table. B section students, A section students, make note of this table. B section students have already made note of this. Correct? You need not write. B section students need not write this table once again. It is only for A section students. Okay. Now, B section students are supposed to draw the network diagram. Next, determine possible paths. Afterwards, determine the project completion duration. A section students make note of this particular table. Is it done?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Few more statements are remaining. Do not continue with the solution. Okay, so if anyone wants me to go back to the previous, so here, total normal cost. B section students, just check if all this data are given or not. B section students, just check if all this data are given or not. Okay, total normal cost is 6,500 rupees. This is still the continuation of the same problem. Problem statement is not over. Total normal cost is 6,500 rupees. Overhead cost or direct cost rupees 160. And next is penalty. Awesome. 17 days. Project duration. $100. So the question is optimum project cost and also determine project. Okay. These section students, we write all this data in the normal cost, direct cost, penalty cost. These section students, all this data are they written in our previous class?
Yes, sir.
B did we write all this data in our previous?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
On. So this ends the question statement. Now we are supposed to solve this. So the solution starts with drawing the project network. Draw the project network first. Okay. Determine the project completion duration.
So
Yes.
the penalty cost for crossing 70 days, is it rupees 100 per day or is it for total
yes.
17 days?
Is 100 rupees per day. Not a constant, but for every day, let me just confirm it. A question statement is not given. In the solution, let me just check it once. Yes, you are right. So it should be per day. Rupees, and that means let us assume that the project completion duration is 19 days, penalty of 200. So start the solution. Okay. First step is draw the project network. Activities are given to you. Draw the project network diagram. Now, how do we start drawing the project network diagram? Of the class, I have told that starting node. Okay. So node 1. There are 3 activities that starts from node 1-2, 1-3, 1-4. There are 2 activities starting from 2-4 and 2-3 activities finishing at node 6. So we are supposed to keep node 1, 2, and 6 in the same line of the network diagram. Okay. I'm just repeating this once again. There are 3 activities that start from node 1. There are 2 activities that start from node 2. Okay. And there are 3 activities that finish at node 6. So you have to keep node 1, node 2, node 6 the same line in the project network. Anyone? So what should be the node is 1? From here, it should be the next node. Okay, 1-2. And where should we place 3? Node number 3. Should it be above or below? Or should it be after 2?
Below 2, sir.
Below 2?
Not after 2.
Not after 2. It can be either below or above, but not after.
Yeah, like
1-4.
4 can be written after 2, I guess. So.
After 2.
Above 2,
Yeah.
sir.
About 2 also is possible.
But we have to place 4 above itself. After 2, not place. Is it right? Because there are 2 activities. In that case, we will have to, in case if we write 4, we have to stretch line until this. Not possible. Four has to be above it, but not after. Once is what about 1 dash 2, 1 dash 3, 1 dash 2 dash. Four. Next, what about the 5? Which act comes after 2 dash 4?
3-6. 4-6.
One dash 2.
6.
5.
5.
5. Dash
8.
dash 4.
3.
5.
5.
3 dash 6.
12.
4 dash 6.
8.
8.
5 dash 6.
6.
Determine post. So find it out. What should be the project completion duration?
20.
20.
20. And what are the different possible paths?
4 paths. There are 4 paths.
4 paths. What should be the first one?
1, 2, 5, and 6.
1, 2, 5, 6. First path.
1, that is 17.
17 days. Correct. Next.
1, 2, 1, 3, and 6. 20 days.
Likewise, next part
1,
is
2, 4, and 6.
1, 2, 4, 6. How much?
17 days. 6, 3, and 8. And one more is 1, 4, and 6. That is 5 plus 8.
5 plus
13
8.
days.
So out of this, our critical path is 1, 3, and 6. 1, 3, and 6. So just keep one thing in mind. Critical path determined by 2 lines. Okay. So you can indicate a critical path or you can highlight a critical path with 2 lines. So you can mark 2 lines on the project network diagram. You can say that this is the critical path. Okay. So this step is complete. Okay. So once this is done, what should be the next step? So this is the actual project completion duration. And from here onwards, we have to start reducing the project duration. Okay. Next step is we have to determine the project cost for 20 days. Is it right? So what should be the project cost for 20 days?
Normal cost plus indirect cost.
That's right. We have to add up the normal cost and the indirect cost for 20 days. Add those two components. Tell me the total project cost. Total project cost is anyone?
$9,700.
So, so we'll also have to add a penalty, no, sir, since it exceeds 17 days.
Yes, you are right. You have to add the penalty cost also. Total direct cost 9,700 and total direct cost for 20 days. How much?
So total direct cost is 6,500, sir.
6,500. Okay. This is 20 into how much?
160.
160.
sir. It is 3,200.
160. 160 rupees, which is I think, 200 rupees. Penalty cost crossing 17 days. So there is a penalty of
1,700.
Uh,
100 into 17.
100 into
17
Three,
days.
100 into 3, sir.
which is
Three.
right.
Into 3.
Whether we are supposed to multiply 100 with 3 or
3
17.
days.
3 days. Why? Because the total project completion duration is 20 days, and if there will be a penalty only if the project crosses 17 days, and in this case it has crossed 17 days, 3 days extra. This is 3 into 100. Any doubts? If anyone has any doubts, you're supposed to ask. So add up all the cost, fact cost. Tell me the answer.
10,000, sir.
Okay. This is right. Correct. 10,000 is right. And simultaneously, if anyone has any doubts or want me to explain or the same. That's right. So the total project cost will be equal to 10,000. So once this is done, we start with the second cycle or the first cycle itself. So this is the basic calculation we did right now. In the first cycle, we have to identify that activity which has to be reduced, or whose activity duration has. Okay. So total project cost. Total project cost 6,500. Add all this. So we have completed the first basic step. Now on, we have to start the first cycle. So what would be the first step? After this, what would be the next step? Okay. So cycle 1 currently the project completion. Project completion duration is 20 days. Now, path is. So what is the critical path?
1-3-6.
1 dash 3 dash equal to 20 days. Therefore, critical path activities are. What are the critical activities?
1-3 and 3-6.
So, 1 dash 3 and 3 dash 6 will be the critical activities. Now, our main intention is to reduce the project completion duration. Is it right? Currently it is 20 days. From there, we have to start reducing it. Any idea which activity we are supposed to select for reduction? 1-3 or
1-3 no sir. Duration is less for 1-3.
1-3? 1-3. Okay, so 1-3 or 3-6. Any other answers? Okay, one of them says that 1-3 has to be reduced. Okay. Any other answers? Then it has the activity duration or 3-6 activity. Will select 1-3 or 3-6 activity for reducing activity duration. Which activity has to be?
3-6
Why?
because it is taking more days.
Okay.
The normal duration is 12, sir.
Normal duration is 12. Any other answers? Then, one of the answer was reduce 1-3 activity. Another answer was can also be called as increment cost. Cost of reduction is nothing. Normal duration for 1-3 is how much?
8.
And for this, the crash duration is
4.
cost of reduction.
90. 12. 8. 200.
Okay, so this is the table. Now tell me which activity has to be reduced. As 3 or 3-6, and what is the reason for this?
1-3, sir. Least increment cost.
That is the increment cost for this is that is only 90 rupees. That is what actually it is taking 8 days time to complete. Now, if I want to complete this one day before, that is within 7 days, then I have to pay only 90 rupees extra. It's fine. But if I have to do the same thing with this 3-6 activity, I have to pay 200 rupees. 200 rupees is almost a little expensive compared to the 1-3. Activity reduction. Okay. So next is you have to decide by how many days we are supposed to do. Reduction. Okay. Whether it should be 4 days, 3 days, 2 days. So normal duration. 1 dash how much? 8 days. And the crash duration. Crash duration. 1-3 is how much? 4 days. Therefore, total reduction possible is how much?
8 months.
Normally it is taking 8 days. It can be finished in 4 days. So by how many days we can reduce this activity duration?
4.
4 days. 8 minus 4. But now there is one problem here. Right? We cannot reduce activity by 4. The reason for that is currently this is 20 days. This path is taking 20 days time. Before we go ahead, any doubts until this? Yes. So one of the questions here is, are we supposed to determine the incremental cost? Incremental cost is not equal because they have given the last column in the question statement, that is cost of production. That is nothing but incremental cost. Okay. So again, we need not have to find out the incremental cost. It's already given. Directly given. Okay. So until here, any doubts? Until here, any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. Here, the possible paths are going back. One is 17 days, another is 20 days, 17 days. Now 1-3 is included only in this particular path. Is it right? Now if I reduce 1-3 by 4 days, you have to see 1-2 is included here. This particular path we have 1-2. In this path we have 1-3. We have 1-2 here, -4. Right? 4 paths are. What we have done is we have already reduced 1-, activity 1-, right? Before it was taking 8 days, now it is taking only 4 days. What will happen is, what will happen to this 20? Now what will become, in case 1-3 is reduced by 4 days, that is, initially it was taking 8 days time.
16.
It will become
16
16.
days.
Correct. Now, if I make it as 4, then the project completion will become what? 1-3 is 4. Then it will become 16. Now this will become 16. Once this becomes 16, okay, now this becomes 16 now, correct? Now if this becomes 16, then will it remain critical? This path, will it remain critical anymore?
No.
No, sir.
No. Correct? Has everyone understood this? Why it will not remain critical? Because there is some number which is above 16 also, correct? There is 17 here. So we have to reduce in such a manner that this path remains critical. We should not change the nature of the project. Are you getting this? we have to perform the reduction in such a manner that this path remains critical. Okay. So that is the reason we cannot reduce this activity by 4 days. Okay. Can we reduce it by 3 days? Can we make it 5? Initially, it is taking 8 days. Now, can we make this activity duration as 5 days?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if we make it as 5, then it will become 17. Correct? Is it right? Now it will become 17. 17 days. 17 days is okay. Even if it is equivalent to this critical path, the other paths, but that is fine. But it will remain as critical itself. Is it right? So, but before whatever reduction we did before, that is, if we reduce this path by 4 days, then it will become non-critical path. 4 plus 12 would have become 16. Now it is 5 plus 12 is 17. Now that is 5. It is remaining as critical itself. Correct? Have I made it clear? Type of confusion. You have to make the reduction.
Won't it turn other two paths as well as a
Correct. Correct.
critical path, sir?
That is not a problem. Yes, so what he says is, if we make it as equivalent to 17, then we are converting the other two also into critical path. These two will become critical. That is fine, not an issue. Other two, let it become as critical, but this path should not become non-critical. Now, whatever we have selected first, the first basic calculation, whatever path we had opted as a critical path, that should remain critical until the end of the problem. Towards the end of the problem, also this should remain as critical itself. And that's okay. We have to perform the reduction. Any doubts? Anyone wants me to explain this once again? It's okay, not an issue for me. I can explain this once. And we go ahead, or anyone wants me to explain this? Okay, I'm not getting any response. That means I will go ahead. Okay, 1 less 3, 2 less 6. If we remove 1 dash 3 activity, 4 days, then the path duration, the path 1 dash 3 plus 6, which is equal to how much? 4 plus the path duration,
12.
4 plus 12. 4 plus 12, which is equal to 6. Okay. While the other two paths, other three paths, duration would be 1 dash 2 dash. What are the other three paths? Can you just tell me? 1, 2.
1 dash 2 dash 5 dash 6.
What was the path duration?
17.
17 days. And next,
1-2-4-6. 17 days.
what the other one?
1-4-6.
1-4-6.
How much?
13 days.
Okay. So there is no change in path duration. So which would make these two as a critical path. Okay, so this reduction is not possible. We cannot reduce 1-3 by 4 days, but we have to reduce this by 3 days. That's basic intention. Once we reduce this activity by 3 days, then we have to calculate the project cost. Any doubts? Again, I am asking. If anyone wants to explain this one, sir. That is fine. If we reduce 1-3 and by 4 days, that is from 8 days to 4 days, then 1-3-6 will become non-critical. Okay. Therefore, this reduction is not possible. Okay. But we have to reduce activity 1-3 by 3 days. In which case, 1-3 become 17 days and would remain as critical path. Okay, and would remain as critical path. So again, I'm asking if there is any doubts. So in the previous problem, we did not have any such type of problem because all of the paths were reduced simultaneously. But in this problem, we have this variety. Okay. 1-3-6 is equal to 70 days. Therefore, by reducing 1-3 by 3 days, we retain 1-3 as a critical path. Therefore, list of critical paths are. What are the critical paths here? 1-3-6, 17 days. Next, what is the next critical path? 1, 2.
5 and 6.
1, 2, 5, 6, 17 days. Next,
1, 2, 4 and 6.
correct? So these three are the critical parts. So we have to determine the project cost for revised project duration. All right, so continue this in the next class. Okay, so just remind me about this. Stopped at project completion duration. What would be the next step?
Revised project cost.
Revised. So we will do it in the next class. Absenteeism is and another thing is that some of the yes, this is for the class years. Okay, so for both the sections, some of the groups I have asked them to revise the title. So the revised title has to be sent to the class years. Okay, and the class years are supposed to submit to me by Saturday, 12:30. Then be the list of revised topics. Only revised topics, that is sufficient. Again, you need not have to. Only the revised topic is for the class.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
And for the other groups, all the groups are supposed. All the group means the groups which I have asked them to revise it. Like for those groups which I have asked for revising it, they are supposed to revise topic to their class year on Saturday. All the groups are supposed to submit to the class years by Saturday, at least by 11 o'clock, not after. Okay, by 11 o'clock. And for the class years, by 12:30, you submit. All right. Thank you.
So,
Yes,
so for section A, are you taking a class in the afternoon?
not required, I guess.
Okay.
Required, we see. Currently, I don't see any. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
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 Thank you.